a B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide. We supposed to be blessed, still a B-boy.
This week, we're heading to Houston, Texas to cover our last member of the Geto Boys, if you don't count Big Mike. From his angry-sounding voice, hardcore lyrics, I don't give a fuck attitude, Willie Dennis was definitely a part of the right group. Not afraid to say what was on his mind. He said, did what he wanted. This week, top 10 Willie D solo songs. Joining me, Surreal the MC, and as always, Raven Hunter. And also, as always, I will start it off. And this is, I think, his best album. It might not be my favorite, but I think it's his most complete. And that's 1994's Play With Your Mama. Very underrated, and I think it's his best. And I'm going with the first track, Recipe for a Murder. It starts the album all great. It's a banger. It's a great way to start it. That hardcore Willie D delivery, gangsta beat that just fits his voice. Features Show, who's on like half the album, but it really doesn't take away from the album. I really thought he was on a lot of songs, but I liked him, so I never had a problem with him being featured all over it. By now, everyone knows I love dope first tracks that start off an album, and I think this started off perfect. So I wanted to give it love. Recipe for a Murder from Play With Your Mama is my number 10. Surreal, what's yours?
I went with I'm Going Out Like a Soldier's Cleanup Man. It's a concept it's been other MCs have touched upon it being the cleanup man, backdoor man, whatever you want to call it. But that was actually released as a single too. There's a clean version in a single and a video for it too, which is kind of surprising with the subject matter. But for back then, nowadays, right. Yeah, you wouldn't even blink at it. But yeah, Cleanup Man.
See, and that's one of those songs that still just make me smile. And Going Out Like a Soldier isn't probably my favorite album, but I think there's some misses on it. Play With Your Mama is so good, and enough people don't know it. But I'm rambling. Raven, what is your number 10?
All right. So, what's this? Our fourth Geto Boys cast, and
yeah. Well,
I have always because we did Scarface, right?
Yeah, we did Bushwick. We did Geto Boys as a group. Yeah.
I always kind of really thought like I hated the 93 album because Willie D wasn't on it. But revisiting Willie D's albums, I really only like Willie D and Geto Boy albums now. It's mainly beat selection. Like he sounds great on any beat with the Geto Boys, and I don't like a lot of his solo shit. So I kind of cheated. Number 10 is not from Willie D, but he's in it. I went to 1998's Ghetto Twins, No Pain, No Gain, to a song called You Don't Want to Go to War. And it had Willie D, Fifth Ward Boys, and Low Life in it. So it's just a really dope posse track from Houston rappers as well. Willie D sounds very classic Willie D in that, even though it was in 98, which was nearing the end of when I really tolerated a lot of Geto Boys music anyway. But yeah, that song and that album, the Ghetto Twins, was a dope ass group anyway. So that album was really dope, and the song with Willie D was super cool. So.
It is cheating, but I'm glad the Ghetto Twins got brought up because we've never talked about them on the show. And they were really dope. They had like two really good albums.
Their first two albums, 96 and 98, are both really solid albums.
Those are great. Anyone who doesn't know who the Ghetto Twins are, check it out. Those are some really dope albums. Number 9, I'm going to 1989's Controversy. And I'm going with the song, I Need Some Pussy. Pussy, 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 Pussy. This is his debut album, which is very complicated in a 2023 atmosphere. Infamous cover. This song features Choice, who a year later made the song The Big Payback, dissing Geto Boys, Too Short, and NWA. Then Willie would come back a few years later, Little Hooker dissing her, but she's on this song, and they're kind of going back and forth. It's kind of like Ice Cube and Yo-Yo's It's a Man's World, right? They're kind of going back and forth between man and woman. There's just so many crazy lines, you know. It's dumb shit that still makes me laugh. Like he says, I need pussy like a pig needs slop. And I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it's funny, right? And only Willie D can have a hook that just repeats pussy, 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 and have you singing along. So this was a favorite back in the day. It still made me smile. I need some pussy. is number 9. What's number 9 for you, Surreal?
I went with We Can't Be Stopped. I'm Not a Gentleman, because it's a Willie D solo song on a group album. I ain't a motherfucker. I don't know. That song, speaking of making you smile, like it's cringy in a way, but it still makes me laugh. It's classic. I'm Not a Gentleman.
Exactly. It ages so bad, but it still made me smile. Like I was laughing out loud at lines that were just so ridiculous, but were awesome. And that song will be talked about again later. Number 9, Raven, what's on your list?
The song will be talked about again later, multiple times.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part about Willie is he's so abrasive and aggressive, but on the flip side, he was the comedic relief of that group. I mean, the Bushwick Bill talking about getting his butt cheeks licked open and shit always made me laugh, but it's like Willie D said shit like that in every fucking song. So,
right.
But I went with Recipe for a Murder off of Play With Your Mama with Show. That is my favorite album from Willie D. It always has been. I think it's his most cohesive album. I like that he worked with Cube a lot on that album. And it just Show was a great, dope rapper. I've never really looked into if Show has solo music or not, but he was really dope on that album. And
yeah, like
Recipe for a Murder, a great beat.
No doubt, really gangsta beat. Yeah, like a year later, Show released a solo album that Willie D was all over, actually.
I'm going to have to look for that one now.
And I think it was on that Wise Up Records that Willie D was trying to launch with Play With Your Mama. Yeah, it's worth checking out. I remember having that. I have that Show CD somewhere.
His album was called Trouble, Man.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's from Mississippi. I was actually a pretty big fan of him. I wrote because back before everybody could just email people or instant message people on IG and Facebook, you would have to write the fan clubs. And I wrote Scarface and DMG and a bunch of rap-a-lot artists, but I actually wrote Show, and him and Willie D sent back some 8x10 glossies autograph and stuff.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was the same way. I sent so many letters of those fan club addresses and inside of the tape. Yeah. I mean, all right. So number 8, for the first time, I'm taking us to 1992's Going Out Like a Soldier. And I'm going with the song Die. So I loved this album when it came out. I played the tape out, and this is right after he leaves the Geto Boys. And there was something about this song that just stuck with me. It's a really slow flow, really slow beat, and it almost has to grow on you. There's just multiple lines that always got me. It's a unique song, but I always found myself listening to it again and again. And like the second verse, this is a good Willie D, like the Pig Needs Slop. The second verse, he goes, I heard your new song on the radio. Hated that shit. Just the way he says it. I mean, it doesn't sound like it should make you laugh, but the way he says it is so funny. And there's really dope scratching in the hook. Nice piano in the background. Just a personal favorite. So I'm going with Die from Going Out Like a Soldier. It's my number 8. Surreal, what's your number 8?
Well, not to copy homework, but I also have Die from Going Out Like a Soldier for like verbatim the same reasons. The way he's on the beat, the scratches, the beat, and just the way he's in the cut. I really like it. It is a slower song, but it's one I can put on repeat. It's a banger.
Exactly. I just always would find myself going back to it. It was just something about it. That song. Number 8, Raven. Tell me you have Die.
I might talk about that song later.
Oh, okay.
If that works. No, I went to 1992's Going Out Like a Soldier for You Ain't No Gangsta, just because I love that shit. I love that beat. That's a classic Willie D sounding just track. And I don't love that album as much as I remember when I had the tape growing up. Me and my brother used to play the fuck out of that tape. Now it doesn't, its beat selection doesn't hold up as much. I guess my choice and taste in beats have changed, but You Ain't No Gangsta sounds like a Willie D song. And I love Willie D's abrasiveness on tracks like that.
Yep, we got one off the honorable mentions list. Really great song. That was probably 12, 13 on my list if I had a guess. So I'm glad it got some love. Which brings us to number 7. And for the first time, I'm going to get away from his solo stuff. One thing about the Geto Boys, I actually kind of always faulted them for, but every Geto Boys album, each member would have a solo song, 1 or 2 or 3 solo songs. I preferred them together, but it does help with this list. So I'm going to 1990s self-titled or 89's Grip It on Another Level. Read These Nikes. Bushwick has a line or two, but it's basically a Willie D song. It might sound dated. I mean, it does sound dated. But back in the day, I love this song. Just a great way to explain being stomped down. Again, the way Willie D says things, no one else could say it this way. Like, he's like, I'll beat your mama's ass and go get a six-pack, which doesn't sound funny, but the way he says it is funny. And, he's talking in the hook to Bushwick and great lines like, I had an off night. Usually I leave the whole logo because he only left a little bit of the logo in. Just shit like that just gets me. And the third verse, the first 4 bars, the beat breaks down a bit. Just small details like that I like. So Read These Nikes. That's my number 7. What's yours, Surreal?
From the foundation, Geto Boys, the foundation, Nothing to Show. It's got kind of a singy hook, and it's just, it's one of those when I went back and was revisiting for the Geto Boys list a few weeks back, and I remembered it, and I went back when we were doing this list recently for Willie D, and I was like, man, that's one of those ones it doesn't shine right away because there's so many other bangers on that album, but Nothing to Show on the foundation. It's a really solid cut.
And if there's one thing that Geto Boys episode showed was that foundation album was a really solid album.
It was slept on like crazy.
Like crazy. I mean, it was a really good album. All right, we are on 7, Raven.
So going back to what you were saying about the way Willie says things, it's the way he enunciates his words and shit that always just has me rolling. Like going back, The World is a Ghetto, me and my brother used to die, and he's just like, I ain't never rode no horse before, ho.
Oh.
Like, just shit like that kills me. But anyway, sorry. Now I'm rambling.
No, that's true.
Hose from Controversy. Ball-headed hose makes me laugh still. It's silly as shit, and I don't know. That's the kind of Willie that I guess I like when he's solo, is his silly shit. And Ball-headed hose, I don't know. I was still laughing this morning when I was re-listening to this list to make sure it was solid.
No, if you say quick name a Willie D solo song, Bald-head Hose might be the first one I list because that's what I think of. That was kind of his, not hit, but that album got known for that track. I'm going back to 1994's Play With Your Mama. And I'm going with the title track, Play With Your Mama, featuring Ice Cube. I was kind of thinking at this era, Ice Cube was on this Willie D record. He was on Scarface's Diary record. Yeah. He did a song on Cool G Rap's record in this era, but it was with Scarface and Bushwick. So he was really collaborating with the Geto Boys a lot in this mid-90s era. And it was a perfect beat to feature Cube on. It kind of has a West Coast feel to it. Cube brings it as always. Willie D holds his own against Cube. But Play With Your Mama, the song, featuring O'Shea Jackson, is my number 6. What's yours, Surreal?
Going way back to Controversy, which, if you pay attention to details, Willie D is spelled D-E-E on his first album, Willie D. And then later on, it was just the letter D. He dropped the 2 E's. So off Controversy, the song Willie D. The hooks, dude, I can't even laugh about saying it. It just sets you up. So I've mentioned this on other shows. Like I got into the Geto Boys super early, like when they had the old spelling and stuff, and Rap a Lot, and just their whole record label and posse and the jazz management team and all that. And so it's the really old gems still make me like, it's that little bit of nostalgia and little bit of just, because some of it was, I was so young, like that Controversy album was one of them I had to make sure was turned real low. So my mom didn't hear it upstairs because my room was in the basement. Mm-hmm. And I remember just laughing like I was getting away with something.
I was with you. I was playing that album too and laughing my ass off. All that era, stuff like that. And you're right. You brought it up. It is Willie D-E-E. Kind of how the Geto Boys originally was spelled like G-H-E-T-T-O. Number 6, Raven, when you got a chance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Number 6. 2000s, loved by few, hated by many, the song Slippers Go. It's one of the songs that kind of stood off on that album. I didn't really appreciate too much from that album. Just, again, beat selection. And then Willie sounds all over the fucking place on that album. And I remember, I think if I'm not mistaken, he had like Lil Wayne on that album, and it sounded like Lil Wayne recorded that shit on like a pack and play microphone. Like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of love for that album. But Slivers Go is a classic sounding Willie D song. And it's a little harder than most of the other shit on the album. So that's probably why I went with that one.
It's interesting, that album. There was two songs from that album that I really liked that I wanted to make the list. They just couldn't. But neither of them is that song.
Yeah,
I,
that and If I Was White were the only two songs that really stood out on that one.
that's one of my two. Yeah. That song is not even like, I remember when Sticky Fingers did What If I Was White? What If I Was
Yeah,
White, which was more comedic, or the Willie D one's more like political and like
he's talking about like I would
facts.
just shoot you and hang you because I'm white, and I'm like, whoa.
All right. We
Willie
uh,
brings it raw, man. He brings it raw.
all right, number 5. 1991's We Can't Be Stopped. It was brought up before. I'm Not a Gentleman. This is like a guilty pleasure song for me, and it ages so damn bad. Even the song starts with a sample of Queen Latifah's Ladies First, and then and
Who
then he
the
goes
fuck
in
made up that shit?
and he just talks so bad about women, so bad. I mean, it ages terribly. But back in the day, it made me laugh. And I hate to admit it, it still makes me laugh like it did back in 91. So many classic
Oh man.
lines. When he says,
Great.
instead of taking her to a play, he's going to take her to a chicken fight. That shit makes me laugh out loud every fucking time. He won't give her his coat because why should he freeze and all that shit. It's just a fun song if you look at it in context. So I'm Not a Gentleman had to make my list. That was my number 5. What's yours, Surreal?
From grip it on the on that other level, let a hoe be a hoe. You gotta and just the was it the Pink Floyd sample. That song's a banger still, but it's that same energy, dude.
No doubt.
Facts.
Back in the day, I'd make myself little mixtapes, and I had this mixtape. It must have been the anti-woman mixtape, but I know I had Ice Cube, A Bitch Is a Bitch, and Willie D as a whole were the first 2 tracks on this mixtape. So I was hating on women hard back in
It's
back in the
hardcore,
late
man.
80s, right?
Oh man,
That was an honorable mention. Let a hoe be a hoe. I'm glad it made someone's list. Number 5, Raven.
Die. Sorry, Die. Yeah, Die made the list. Great song. You, I think both already touched on that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's just a great song. It is a little bit slower paced, but it's just I don't know. Willie goes hard in that shit.
Really hard. I didn't think anyone else would have that on their list, so it's awesome that you both had it. That's really interesting. I kind of always thought it was something most people skipped over because it kind of has to grow on you, and I never could explain why I loved it so much, but I always did. All right, number 4. I'm going back to '89's Controversy by Willie D. And I'm going with Bald Headed Hose. Probably one of his best known solo songs ever. You got that Dragnet sample in the beginning into a classic late 80s hardcore beat. It sounds dated, and it is. But again, just like I'm Not a Gentleman, this is still funny to me all these years later. And it's such a simple hook, but you're singing along with it. When what you see, D, you're saying ball head hose, you are. It's just something about the way he says things, like you said, Raven. But when I think of Willie D solo songs, I think of Bald Headed Hose. And on that Unbreakable album, he remade it like Bald Headed Hose 2002, which I just
Yeah,
wish he wouldn't have done. But the
same.
original classic. So what you see, Surreal, at number 4?
number 4, I got from the album "Play with Your Mama," the title track "Play with Your Mama" featuring Ice Cube. I actually had the single before the album because that was the first single,
Yes.
and I remember there was like a maxi or no, I had a tape single, and I saw it at the mall, and then they started pushing it on like Source and rap pages, but I was kind of I was kind of on top of like I had this little list of like upcoming releases because remember when like Best Buy and all the record stores you would go, was it Thursday was CD release day or something out, Tuesday or
Thursday,
Thursday,
Tuesdays.
but
Tuesday.
You'd
Thursday or
always know
Friday.
way
Yeah,
out,
yeah, yeah.
and I would kind of budget it with like, depending on my age, whether it was allowance or like from sacking groceries or working at the drugstore or whatever. But that one kind of like it kind of was not on my radar. And when I remember I seen the single, I was like, oh, okay, Q Band Willie D, I'm in.
I'm glad you brought that up because I did the same thing. I'd go to Music Land always was my main record store.
Yeah.
That and Camelot Music and get those, you know, it'd be like a month ahead in November.
Mhm.
Here are the releases. That and the
Mhm.
Source magazine seeing just ads. I mean, that's how I found out about so many albums. I didn't know what was going
Yeah.
to come out until I saw an advertisement. There was no internet, you know. Be like, holy shit,
Yeah, and
he's
like,
got a new album.
well, Master P got it because his CD inserts would have all the upcoming stuff.
They
Right.
have 7,000 releases inside every
Yeah.
album, though.
But you knew what was going on. But yeah, we had like Music Land, Sam Goody, I
Sam
think was
Goody.
the same company, and then
It
we had
was.
Sam Goody's
yeah.
what I had, yeah.
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 They merged at some point. All the Music Lands
Yeah.
here became Sam Goody's.
Yeah, and some places had like was it FYEs, and then there was disc jockeys in the Midwest too.
So
It's all
before
kind of all the
FYE,
mall stuff.
before FYE, it was Waxy Maxis, and then it became Tape
Ooh.
World, and then
Tape
it became
World.
FYE. Yeah.
Oh,
We
I
had
didn't
a-
realize. Okay.
I never heard of Waxy Maxes, but we had a Tape
Yeah.
World in one of the malls in Milwaukee. I remember. Oh,
Nice.
memories! All those dope record stores gone. Thing
Gone.
of the past. Sad, sad, sad. I think we're on number 4, and I
Yes.
think we're
Yeah.
on Raven.
We are. I want to fuck your mama from Play With Your Mama.
What? How
Uh,
could you just diss me on my podcast? Okay.
Hey, sorry, bro. Sorry, but you know, is it a diss? Like, yeah, just the simple when she sit down, I can see your pussy hair, like shit like that. I had to put that on the list. It's again just the dumb shit he says.
And it's the way he
Can't
says
go-
it. Well, you know, it always happens. Let's just go into my number 3. I want to fuck your mama. I laugh just thinking about this song. Before I even hear it or think of the lines, I laugh because I know I'm going to laugh. When this dropped, I thought it was the flyest shit. I remember driving around blasting, I want to fuck your mama. And it still kind of holds up. It's really great line after line. And like you said, just the way Willie says it, just so matter of fact.
Yeah,
It's so explicit, but so good. I mean, it's just ridiculous, but in a good way. So my number 3 was I want to fuck your mama. So now we're even. That was my number 3. Surreal. Are you fucking someone's mama on number 3?
No, I got. I'm going back to controversy. Slow down, player. The original "Do It Like a Geo." The original. I think there was like it was redone
like 6
4
times.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were 3 different versions, but yeah, "Do It Like a Geo."
It's a great song. Always has.
It is a
been.
great song.
It's pretty cut and dry, but it might be the only song on our list that's not about hoes. Just kidding, but yeah.
Well, like you said, there's many different versions, and this is the earliest version. No Bushwicks on it. Number 3, Raven.
1991's Geto Boys We Can't Be Stopped with Homie Don't Play That. I love that song. That and I'm Not a Gentleman were always like 2 of my favorite songs from that album. Just because that was like Willie at his most angry, like in that album. And oh yeah, Homie Don't Play That. I still listen to that song regularly, even when we weren't doing this list, just because I still love that fucking album anyway. But that's a great song from Willie.
Such a good album. And obviously people think of Mind Playing Tricks, but the whole album is just full of really great. Oh, that album is so dope. Which brings us to the top 2. And speaking of 2, I'm going to 1992's Going Out Like a Soldier with the title track. Another great first song, sets the mood perfectly. I love this song. It's impossible for me not to rap along with Willie when this plays. It's just no apologies, not afraid to say shit. The line where he says, "You ain't never seen a motherfucker kill a motherfucker like a motherfucker named Willie D, motherfucker." I mean, that's Willie D in a sentence, right? Just Willie D in a sentence. But you have the dope old military drums in the back over the beat, dope scratching in the hook. There's a great bridge about, you had a shootout with Scarface, and you left to start a country tour with Garth Brooks, and plus he shouts out Ice-T on it, so had to be high up. My number 2, Going Out Like a Soldier. Surreal, what's yours?
Number 2, controversy again. Bald head hoes. It's just got that nostalgia, and I remember hearing it on like a promo video or like a mixtape way back, and it just, I don't know, it's one of those that's like it etched, it's ingrained, and I just laugh, and it's nostalgic, and it's catchy, simple, like we touched on,
Right.
simple but catchy. Yeah, that's my number 2.
Yeah, you're gonna sing along to that hook every time. I mean, it's like impossible not to. Number 2, Raven, what you got?
Number 2, Play With Your Mama with Ice Cube. Again, I love that album, and I fillet Ice Cube enough on this podcast for people to know if he's in the song and it's dope, it's probably going to be pretty high on my list. I still stand by Ice Cube's probably one of the most well-rounded rappers of all time, regardless. But he, like you said, Willie D kept up with him the whole time. It's just a dope song from both sides. And I totally forgot it had a video, so I'm going to have to go back and look at that. I haven't seen that probably since it was on the box.
But I used to belong to this monthly subscription where you'd get a
Rap
VHS
Video
tape.
Monthly.
Yes.
Rap Video
Yes.
Monthly. And there was a Rock Video Monthly, and that was where Born to Roll, the remix, was first shown. The Check It Out, Baby, with Masta Ace.
Yep.
There was a lot of stuff that was dropped on that before it hit like Yo Raps in BET too.
That's where I first saw Play With Your Mama video. Yeah.
Damn, I forgot all about those.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have kept them. God damn it, they're probably worth money now, right? Oh, but yeah, I'd be so excited every month when them damn things came. I'm glad you could remember the name, because I couldn't remember it. It was killing me. Awesome. Well, we're to the end. Number 1, and my number 1 is gonna be out of left field. I didn't think anyone else would pick it, and no one has said it yet. And it's from 94's Play With Your Mama, and it's the song Guess My Religion. From the second I heard this song in 94, I just absolutely loved it, because it was exactly how I felt about organized religion and hypocrisy in it, and how men could ruin everything, even God. He just tapped into those feelings so good. And people are people, and sometimes the most self-righteous Christian people have the most skeletons in their closet. But this is more evidence Willie D has no fear about saying what's on his mind. This is just a personal one for me. Guess My Religion is my number 1. Surreal, what's yours?
Well, my number 1 is from the Trouble Man album, Willie D and Show, Pray I Be a Failure. It was a single. It was released as a single and a video too, but it's on that Trouble Man album. And even though it's Show featuring Willie D, it's one of those, it's about the struggle. It's about people hoping you fail in life. It's a really, really, really deep. It might be some of Willie's like deepest, most serious material. And I suggest you go back and look that up on YouTube. It's Pray I Be a Failure, Show, SHO, with Willie D. It's one of those kind of like Straight Up Menace, MC8, where it's just, or 6 Feet Deep, Geto Boys. Right. Like it's just like a real message, and it really hits you. And so it was easily my number 1 when I was going through all this, the discography of stuff. It's such an underrated song. It's amazing.
Yeah, like we were talking about before, people should check out that Show solo album.
I got to.
I always remember, I don't know if it says something about my brain, but I always remember albums by covers and colors, and it's like him and Willie D with a brownish back cover.
Yeah, it was a simple cover.
Really simple cover, but I think it was on Wise Up Records, so it didn't have huge I mean, it had national distribution, but it wasn't like
I think
Def Jam.
Was Wise Up was done through Ichabod, which was
Rap
who MC
Records.
Greed was also on, and Funk Junkies and stuff. But they had the distribution in the stores, but they didn't have that extra budget to like push it all the way, I guess, for in layman's terms.
No, people should check out Show. If you liked him on Play With Your Mama album, you'll like him on his solo stuff.
I'm gonna look it up for sure.
No doubt. Raven, what was number 1 on your list in heart?
So it wasn't Against My Religion, but I'm surprised someone else said that. So that would have been like number 11 for me, and number 12 probably would have been Going Out Like a Soldier's title track. So I'm surprised someone else picked that song. That's dope. I'm not a gentleman because I ain't a motherfucking gentleman.
Or a good guy.
No, it doesn't hold up. But just like 3 days ago, I was in the car with my girl and my two roommates, and they're like, "Oh, what's your podcast?" And I was like, "Perfect timing." I put this song on. The guys in the back started just talking to each other, and my girl's just staring out the window, and I'm the only one like laughing and just rapping along the whole time. Like that song always stood out on that album, just because it's fucking ridiculous. And yeah, it might be somewhat problematic today, and probably 2/3 of Willie D's solo music. Yeah, just the ladies first. Who the fuck made up that shit? 9 times out of 10, it was a bitch. And I just go the whole song with it. And it's just, they're just like staring out the windows, ignoring me at that point. I'm like, fuck y'all. This song is the best.
We said everything we could about it, but so problematic. It's so good. If you look at it in context, it's a really fun song to listen to. Yeah. If you're not taking it too serious. I might not release it as a brand new song in 2023, but dope song. Oh, so we're at the end. As always, honorable mentions if you're joining us for the first time. If a song I thought should get some love didn't make anybody's list, I'll just quick shout it out. So my honorable mention list from Controversy, Kick That Shit and Put the Fucking Gun Away. Put the fucking gun away. You're right, Raven. It's how he says things.
Yep.
It's just he has a way of saying things. Put the fucking gun away. From Going Out Like a Soldier, Little Hooker, the Choice disc, because I love diss tracks. What's Up, Brother? From Play With Your Mama, Is It Real? Mine Still Playing Tricks on Me. And They Laughing At You was another one. Loved by Few, Hated by Many, If I Was White. And there was a song called It Ain't Easy that I always liked, was kind of on the real one. And from Unbreakable, there's a song called Once Upon a Time. It's not that good. He just has this ridiculous flow on it, and I always would listen to it over and over. So those are my honorable mentions. Are we missing anything in Willie D's solo career?
He wasn't on the original Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster, because that was on Uncut Dope right behind you. But he was on one of the Rap-A-Lot anniversary discs. They did a bunch of the Houston and Rap-A-Lot, like Zero and those guys, artists covered old Rap-A-Lot songs, and Willie D finally got a verse on Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster.
Thanks for pointing that out, because it was like a 3 discs anniversary set, like 20-year anniversary. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm gonna have to check that out again, because there was some dope remakes on that. Like one was, the originals, and then the second one was all remakes. No,
that's exactly it. Yeah,
that's a good one. Well, we made it through all the Geto Boys, unless we do Big Mike one day. All right, y'all. Have a good night.
B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide.